July 29th, 2017. No, it's been a little while. First things first, Baz, fantastic job on the meme videos. I'm very glad that I have somebody like you that can make graphics videos and meme videos and do all the heavy lifting of this theory, because there's no fucking way in hell I would be able to do any of that. I use MS Paint. That's very professional looking, yeah. But this one's for Colin Clark. This talk says here on MSN News, says, huge Jupiter-like planet discovered by astronomers confounds theory of planetary development. I'll read it out and go piece by piece with this. A rare massive planet that orbits a fast spinning star has caused scientists to rethink current models of stars and solar systems. They're not rethinking any current models of stars or solar systems. That's just airtime. There's no content to that at all. They're not rethinking anything. They're keeping the same models that they've had since the 50s. The planet HIP 65426 Bravo was discovered by a group of astronomers and researchers from the Max Planck Institute for Astronomy. Over there, they're a bit more open-minded than the Americans. The Americans are more or less entrenched into the dogma because of, financial reasons. The Sphere instrument at the Very Large Telescope at ESO's Paranal Observatory in Chile managed to capture a direct image of the planet. Quote, direct images of exoplanets are still very rare, but they contain a wealth of information about planets such as HIP 65426 Bravo, said Thomas Henning from the Max Planck Institute for Astronomy. The analysis of the direct light of the planet allows us to constrain the composition of the planet's atmosphere with great confidence. It says here, we know for a fact that they don't understand that stellar evolution is planet formation. Check it out. Planets, when they're young, are big, hot, and bright. And when they cool down, they lose their spectrum and they become what astronomers call planets. But essentially, the young, bright, hot planets can be directly observed. They call them stars. So they say here, direct images of exoplanets are still very rare. No, they're not. Every single star is a young, hot exoplanet. Direct images of exoplanets are extremely common. You can even see them with your own eyes when you go out at night. Even in like a city environment where you can only see the brightest stars like Vega or Sirius, they're right there, right in front of you. You can directly image them. You don't even need a billion-dollar telescope to do that. It says here, the discovery raises puzzling questions for scientists. Gail Chauvin of the University of Grenoble and the University of Chile, and the lead author of the study, said, quote, we would expect a planetary system this young to still have a disk of dust, which could show up in observations. Quote, HIP 65426, that's the main object, does not have such a disk known for the moment, a first indication that this system doesn't quite fit our classical models of planetary formation. So what they're doing here is they're looking at two objects. One object is really hot, the gas object, the Bravo exoplanet, is orbiting the hotter host in the center. And they're expecting, because the planet is really hot on the outer rims, that they should see a disk circling around the host star as well. But since they don't see a disk, they're like, why is this happening? Well, I'll tell you why it's happening. Disks aren't evidence for forming solar systems. In fact, a solar system itself isn't really a construct to begin with. All you have are evolving stars, and those stars just orbit each other. The fact that it's a system is an illusion. They will exchange orbits with other stars and create other systems later down the road. They adopt each other and eject each other on a regular basis on the scales of tens of millions of years. It's a very it's a very common occurrence. So to say two objects are the same age and formed around the same time, when clearly their characteristics and physical properties are different, is just ignoring reality and trying to force your models and theories to work when your observations are telling you quite the opposite. And also it says here, the newly discovered planet has a temperature of around 1300 to 1600 Kelvin, which is about 1000 to 1300 degrees Celsius. The newly discovered exoplanet has a radius of 1.5 times Jupiter and between 6 and 12 times Jupiter's mass. It's a brown dwarf, clearly. But I don't know if they're going to call it a brown dwarf, but that's the stage of evolution it's in. It's moved past the visible spectrum of light. It cannot, shine with its own light. It's in that infrared area, and then eventually the infrared's going to dim, and then before we know it, it's probably going to look like Jupiter as more mass is lost. But it says here, it's believed to have thick layers of mostly hydrogen gas, while Sphere spectrograph has detected the presence of water vapor and reddish clouds. Water vapor, yeah, it's making water in the atmosphere, which is probably raining down in the high atmosphere, and over many, many more millions of years of that, it's going to keep on raining down, and it's going to continue cooling the interior crust, and that's going to begin solidifying, and the water is going to be left over from the thick ocean world, and then the ocean is going to start dissipating, and boom, you have an Earth. It's a very simple series of events here. You don't need to take 20 years of astronomy classes to understand this. It can be taught to a third grader. Also, it says here, the unusual qualities of its host star are also causing astronomers to recalibrate their theories. They're not recalibrating anything. They're going to keep their theories because they have nothing to replace it with. According to data extrapolated from the European Southern Observatory's HARP spectrograph, it spins approximately 150 times faster than the Sun. The reason why a single star is rotating so fast is not yet known to scientists. The research is published in Astronomy and Astrophysics, which outlines the theory and explanation for the new planet and its host star. And right there, we see the same mistake made over and over and over again. It's like they're these people that live inside of a cave, and they're looking at the shadows of the figures that pass behind them, like Plato's allegory of the cave, and they're saying, why are those shadows there? And then people think up theories of how the shadows come out of the wall, when really, if they knew that there was a fire behind them, this was reflecting the people walking across the bridge, they would realize that it's just an illusion. And that's exactly what's happening here. They're taking planets, and the illusion is that they're different from stars because they have different properties. Little do they know, they're the same thing. It's their properties that change. And if you can take the young stars, study them, you'll find out that the properties will change as it cools and dies. And we can know what happens to old stars as they evolve by studying what are called planets. I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore. But anyways, it is thought the planet could have started life with a sibling much closer to its host star. And it says here, however, a gravitational pull may have led HIP 65426b, the exoplanet, to be pushed further out and the other planet propelled out of the solar system. You see, they can fully accept that there's an object being kicked out of the solar system, yet don't realize that, okay, well, if it was kicked out of the solar system, that means it's wandering outer space, and it could be adopted by another star altogether. And many star systems have adopted other objects. So it seems like to me, it looks like they're looking at a bridge. Like, as an analogy, they're looking at a bridge, and they see another mass of land, and they're like, I wonder what's over there. And nobody wants to walk across the bridge. But the other mass of land over there has the understanding they need, but they're not willing to realize that the bridge is just this. It's just they're the same objects. If they would just realize that, all these mysteries would just poof, vanish. But I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I mean, it's like living in North Korea, for instance. People look at the crazy North Koreans, how they're all brainwashed. No, it's not necessarily true, because get this, if you talk bad about the dear leader, then, you know, bad things happen to you. So they have basically a gun held to their head. They can't do anything that goes against, you know, what, you know, they're being told, that goes against their government. And same thing, if you have a career in astronomy, you can't go against the people who sign your paychecks and they give you a way of life and allow you to propel your career. If you go against them, then essentially it's like living in North Korea. Bad things happen. You get forced to resign from your job. You don't get promoted. You don't get opportunities handed to you. And they just make life much harder for you because you're going against their system, their paradigm, their way of thinking, their worldview. And just keep that in mind. A lot of the astronomers, their hands are tied behind their backs. They can't do anything. They can't make any change because they essentially, you know, have the golden handcuffs. All right, y'all. Take it easy.